Shops are closed. On every corner, a bomb shelter. But the illusion of security has gone from these streets. It's been 10 days since Hamas fighters reached Sderot, surging in by jeep, shattering the morning quiet, taking dozens of lives, civilians and police with them. The last Hamas fighter was found holed up here only midweek. The scars of the attack still visible. And here, the rubble of the police station that became their impromptu base. Since the attack began, 75 rockets from Gaza have hit this town, and nearby, more struck today. We're less than 2 miles from Gaza here in Sderot. The roads are mostly deserted and its residents have been asked to leave while the army prepares for its ground offensive. The residents that we've spoken to say that it's not that they aren't scared to stay, but that they can't contemplate leaving their homes, despite the occasional rocket that still hits and the sound of outgoing artillery fire rattling windows. And it's difficult to imagine the scenes where those rockets land so close to here.
Before we were afraid, but now it's a completely different type of fear. It's given me huge anxiety. If this time it isn't over for good, I'm not just leaving Sderot, I'm leaving Israel.
Most of Sderot's 30,000 residents have left. For those who stay, food, water, baby wipes are being handed out by this community group. Many people from Gaza would come to Sderot and work. We've heard of tens of thousands that come here.
I've had Gazan workmen at my house, and I also have a neighbour from Gaza.
From Gaza?
Yes, some of his family live there and some of his family live here.
And do you know where they are now? Do you think of them?
To be honest, I feel pain for all of the families. For those who had to leave and move to the south of Gaza, it's not up to them. Hamas controls them. If Hamas didn't control them, then they would be safe. They're not safe on their side because of Hamas, and we're also not safe because of Hamas, but the reasons are different. They want to use them as human shields, and us they want to slaughter. It's not fighter against fighter, it's women and children that they kill.
Streets quiet in Sderot, but a few miles from here, there are streets that no longer exist. Concrete boulders lifted from a baby's body. Israeli airstrikes have killed 254 Palestinians in the past 24 hours, the local authorities announced Monday evening. Over 2,700 Gazans have been killed since Israel's campaign began. Roughly a third of them are children. It's becoming increasingly difficult to reach people in Gaza by video call, but Afef managed to send us this.
I'm currently in Khan Yunis city in my grandparents' house. We have about 4 other families from our relatives living with us. We only have 3 bottles of water left, drinking water, and we don't have any running water at the moment in our sinks. We're sleeping on the floor. There is no electricity and there is no internet. The reception of the phones is very bad as well. The Palestinians obviously want and need, we are in desperate need for aid at the moment to come through the Rafah border, but what we need more is for this aggression and this genocide and these massacres to stop, and then we can think about aid, because what's the point of water running in my sink and me washing my face if I'm going to be dead and killed a few minutes after that.
Back in Sderot, we find an Israeli government spokesperson and ask him about their campaign in Gaza.
We told the people where it will be the war. We told the people where we know that they are, the Hamas people are. The problem is that I'm pretty sure that Hamas operative went with these people. One of the reasons that the borders are closed is also because we don't want our hostages to be taken away from the Gaza Strip.
But if we say that Hamas is always with civilians and they go with them, then there's no safe space for a civilian in Gaza.
No, there will be safe space.
But how if we always say that there's Hamas amongst the civilians?
Because I hope that Hamas will care for their own civilians. Even that I say that they are not logical and not rational. At the end of the day, if they want to rule, they need people to rule.
It does paint a very dire picture to be a civilian in Gaza. It feels like what we're learning from this conversation is that there's nowhere safe in Gaza for a civilian.
And was there a place safe here in the region on Saturday morning? let's take one step back and let's think who is behind Hamas. Iran. The goal of Iran is to have chaos in this region in order to be the one who is the leader of the region.
There's no public proof that Iran played a role in coordinating the Hamas attack, but it's an assertion that Israel is keen to repeat, widening this war from an internal one to a geopolitical conflict.
After we left Israel, we've gone now to, I think I've lost track, but to 6 countries in the region. Jordan, Bahrain, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, now here in Egypt. And the purpose of seeing all of our partners was first and foremost to listen to them, to hear how they're seeing this crisis, and to look at what we can do together to deal with many of the concerns that it's raised.
The US is urging calm, but today the Iranian government said the time for political solutions is running out and war on other fronts is becoming inevitable. Textbook fiery threats from Iran, but they now carry a new sharpness as its proxy Hezbollah continue to launch sporadic rockets into northern Israel. And yet, what future there can be for relationships between neighbours is not a regional or a political question here, but a personal one. How can you imagine a relationship with the Gazans who you knew before, who would come over? How do you imagine that relationship to be in the future?
I want and dream of what we had in the past, a place where we were living together.
And do you think that's possible, ever, now?
No, I don't think so.